Meanwhile, at the Northern Base Research Institute, Director Jung was informed that a complication had arisen, having said that a huge amount of energy appeared in Shinanzin, and they began to analyze it. The director asked his subordinates if these were the founders of the religion, but it wasn't them. After conducting a full scan, he was told that this is the #1 mutant, the Scarlet Empress. She awakened and came to the city. The director was disappointed because their Scarlet Empress, immediately after awakening, destroyed the zombies in the entire area and also exterminated the troops of their institute. And the worst thing was that she was created by a scientific research institute and at the same time vehemently hates them. Zheng Tianxiong, Minister of Health, director of the Northern Base Research Institute, believed that all this was not important because he felt that someone was sabotaging their affairs. Realizing this, he immediately ordered his assistant T1 to continue sending people in search of the Kelly Research Institute, because it was necessary to find it and the nanotechnology that was in it. At the same time, with all this, he also ordered to avoid the nest of the Bloody Empress and take supplies with him, and ask the Metro clan for help, after which he turned to his assistant Umian and asked her to find someone who was constantly hindering him. She answered with confidence that the task would be completed. One of the assistants asked the professor if they would intervene in the situation in Shenanzheng City, to which he replied that they would not. Since there is Scarlet for the Empress, she herself will tear everyone to pieces. After all, according to his information, samples of nanotechnology were successfully removed from the city. Meanwhile, at the secret research laboratory K3, Kelly became very angry when she learned that the nanotechnology project was urgently transported to the city center 3 days ago. Kelly knew that things were bad because 3 days ago, nanotechnology was delivered by subway to a research institute in the center of the city. Liu Feng didn't understand which other metro he was on. Nanotechnologies are gone. Kelly told him that all of her research institutes are connected by an underground system, and as soon as a problem arises with one of the institutes, the system immediately transports secret projects to the nearest safe institute. Then, looking at the map, she said, "The map shows that nanotechnology was transported to the Freyer Institute." Lufa was very upset because he understood that they had come all this way in vain, risking their lives. Suddenly, Kelly discovered a leak of a fusion virus that was eliminated from the laboratory. At that very moment, Li Xin and Dr. Qin appeared in the laboratory, who immediately noticed that it was this virus that led to the fact that there were a bunch of different zombies in the city. She was interested in this virus. Liu Feng was very happy to see Li Xin and Dr. Qin, saying that he was worried about them. Dr. Qin thanked him for sending Li Xin with her, who saved her, after which Dr. Qin suggested we talk about the virus. She could not even think that there was such a laboratory in this city, and that they were still studying the virus, and decided to take a closer look at it. After which she learned that a byproduct of studying nanotechnology makes it possible to combine nanorobots and a virus. This is powerful technology. The initiator of the project was the Fox family. Seeing this, Dr. Qin turned to Kelly and said that she was the famous Kelly, and this underground institute worked under her leadership. She also said that she believes that she would not do something like this because she has always been a white knight in this area. Kelly replied that she knew nothing about the initiation of this project. Dr. Qin believed Kelly but asked her what would happen if someone in her family colluded with outsiders such as Zhen Tianshun. After which, Dr. Qin added that the Fox Corporation has nothing but money. They invested in quality assets around the world. After which, they behave like white knights. Or rather, it is better to say that they are a scientific and technical company and not an investment corporation. The doctor said that she used to work at a research institute that Kelly's company had invested in, and there she saw how a person appointed by her family colluded with Zhen Tianshun. Li Xin hugged Kelly with a grin on her face, saying that she didn't think she would ever see a fox like Kelly be humiliated in public. Dr. Qin noticed that the fusion virus was still active, and she thought that perhaps she could use it to restart the development of a serum that would remove the mutation virus, telling Liu Feng that this could probably ease his little sister's symptoms. Hearing this, Liu Feng immediately invited Dr. Qin to join his shelter, saying that now his little sister and Aunt Li would have hope of salvation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Captain Chu and his subordinates were fighting a wave of zombies. He ordered his military to hold their position as they needed to drive away these zombies to prevent them from going to the northern camp. One after another, his soldiers died from zombie bites. He understood that the local zombies were not like the ones he had met before. These ones, no matter how much you shot at them, still did not die. In order to hold back the onslaught of zombie waves, Captain Chu, together with his soldiers, used all the weapons available to him, even grenades. But even the grenades did not save them, since they were blocked by a bone shield, which could not be penetrated not by cartridges, not even by a grenade. Captain Chu couldn't believe his eyes because everything was so bad. In a couple of months they evolved into impenetrable bone shields. The military's defenses were broken through. Lying on the ground, Captain Chu thought that humanity most likely would no longer be able to defeat them. Before he even had time to think about what Liu Feng would have done in his place, a red salvation cloak appeared out of nowhere and pierced the head of the zombie who wanted to kill Commander Chu with his sword, after which he immediately asked old Chu if he was okay. In response, the commander thanked him for saving his life again. Before they could talk, the zombie with the bone shield decided to attack them again. At that moment, Liu Feng pushed Commander Chu aside and dealt a crushing blow to the zombie's bone shield. But he didn't destroy it, and in addition to everything, he broke his sword on this bone shield. Seeing his broken sword, Liu Feng was not upset because 10 minutes ago, when he was in the grain storage, he had prepared for such an eventuality. While in the granary, he contacted his assistant, Sarah, and asked her to send all this grain to their base. Then he said that tomorrow he would bring even more people to the base. Dr. Qin was very surprised to see such technology, and she asked Liu Feng, "What kind of technology is this that can teleport things?" He replied that it was just a small piece of equipment from his hideout. Meanwhile, Li Xin approached them and said that they had cooler things in their shelter. After which, she pressed Liu Feng's head to her chest and took him to another room, saying that she said this in order to interest Dr. Qin in their shelter. At that moment, Kelly called Liu Feng over, saying that she had found another byproduct of nanotechnology development at the Institute, and asked him to look at it in case he needed it. Opening the suitcase inside, Liu Feng discovered a Tier A nano-impact glove. After his sword broke with this particular glove, Liu Feng dealt the next crushing blow to the mutant zombie with a bone shield. Thanks to the use of a nano-shock glove, Liu Feng destroyed this mutant zombie with a bone shield with the first blow, tearing it into pieces. Captain Chu and his soldiers could not believe what they saw, only understanding that Liu Feng was very strong. Now in the eyes of the military, Liu Feng was no longer a sword master, and he became a demonic fist in the hearts of people. Within half an hour, they arrived at the gates of the northern base. Commander Chu reported his return, saying that thanks to Liu Feng, they had delivered 2 truckloads of supplies and scouted out the situation in Shenanzhen. Liu Feng listened to Kelly's advice, who said that he should leave 2 truckloads of food for the military to win their favor, and this way they would make it easier to do business in the future. While driving one of the trucks, Liu Feng looked to the side at the people's entrance and saw his ex there. He couldn't believe his eyes. Therefore, he blamed it on the fact that he was too tired, and he imagined his ex Shen Qian. The next day, together with Dr. Qin, Liu Feng went to the slave market, at which she introduced him to the owner of the largest slave market in the northern base, Boss Zhang Li. He was also happy to see the famous demonic fist Mr. Liu. He said that he had wanted to meet him for a very long time. Zhang Li asked Liu Feng not to worry, saying that for the sake of Dr. Qin, he would provide him with the best goods, gave him the best beauties of the old world, Shu Qianqian and Hua Mei Mei. Liu Feng couldn't believe his eyes. After all, Shu Qianqian was a movie actress who played the role of Yang Guifei, and Hua Mei Mei is an international star who played the role of Ida Wang in the movie Violence Crisis, movie star left and right. At this moment, Hua Mei Mei blamed Shu Qianqian for being the reason they got caught, and it was entirely her fault. Liu Feng really wanted his harem, but he also knew that this fat man was seducing him on purpose so that he would not ask for something else. Seeing that Liu Feng was hesitating, the merchant said that this celebrity couple was not cheap. and he added that the head of the gang of light-bringing dragons wanted both of them, but he refused him. But Liu Feng told him that if he thought that he could lead him astray just by showing him a handsome man, then he was very mistaken. The merchant was shocked, because he did not think that there really was a man in this world who could control himself at the sight of such beauties. Unable to bear the stupidity of the seller, Liu Feng shouted to him that he had not come to him to buy beauties from him. The intense pressure even caused his nose to bleed. At that moment, Kelly entered the room, saying that in this era, the last thing we need is beauties, telling Boss Zhang that they only want talented people. Boss Zhang immediately recognized Kelly as the only woman included in the top 10 rich people according to Forbes magazine. Now it was no surprise to him that with such a beauty, Mr. Liu was not interested in movie stars. The girl also recognized Kelly, thinking that she was a legendary woman who became this young guy's trophy. Kelly told Liu Feng that he was worthy to be the director, but he should invite these stars to his refuge because they are not at all useless. Liu Feng listened to Kelly and approached the girls, inviting them to join his hideout. The girls happily agreed, but Liu Feng said that first he should look at their characteristics, thanks to his system. Liu Feng was shocked to see what talents these two girls had. He did not understand where some two actresses had such rare talents. He even asked the system to check them again, to which the system said that he was a fool, and it was working fine. Without thinking for a long time, he asked the merchant to bring all the people he had so that he could choose them himself. Realizing that this was a big deal, the merchant brought him all the remaining 300 people in just 5 minutes. Half an hour ago, the tired Liu Feng was a little angry, because he thought that talents would be everywhere. But in the end, out of 300 people, only a few people had any good skills. He found a security guard, a caretaker, a farmer, a hacker, a turner, a cook, and a gunpowder researcher. He also had 2 more of these beauties, but he needed to increase the population, so he had to choose 100 more people. After 3 hours, only 120 people were selected who were not hostile to Liu Feng and had the appropriate qualifications. After the selection, Liu Feng asked Boss Zhang how much he wanted for all these people. Boss Zhang replied that since they were acquaintances, he would give him a discount, and said that he would charge 200 canned goods or 30 for both of them, his choice. Liu Feng did not bargain, and said that Kelly would give him the payment. After acquiring the required number of people, Liu Feng knew that they needed to be taken to the shelter, and then he would be able to unlock the blueprints for the firearms. So he did, loaded all the people into trucks, and drove back to his shelter. Having reached the place, he stopped the column and asked all the people to come out and form a line. Everyone was scared. Seeing the desert, they thought that they had been brought in to be killed and sold as meat on the black market. Liu Feng noticed that people were nervous, so he climbed higher, took the loudspeaker, said that his name is Liu Feng, he is now their commander. He will take them to the shelter later. He also said that he would guarantee each of them that they would eat their fill and never be slaves again. After which he asked them to line up and go through the transport door so that he could teleport everyone to the shelter. Descending from the podium, Kawase Swana, the vice president of the Mutant Association, called him over, saying that she needed to give him something. Liu Feng was even slightly frightened because he had not noticed her presence at all before. She told him that she heard about how he broke his sword and decided to give him her family's sword. Shuelai Demon Sword. She handed him the sword, saying that it would be his welcome gift in honor of completing his first task and joining the Mutant Association. Taking the sword out of his ankle, Liu Feng saw that it was very sharp. This weapon was capable of cutting steel. It was level A. After that, she handed him his ID, saying that he should visit the association a little later, since the president wanted to see him. He told the vice president that he would definitely go to the association and thanked her for the sword, after which he told everyone to prepare to return to the shelter. Everyone was safe and sound. Everyone managed to be transported back to the shelter. Seeing Liu Feng, Sarah immediately ran to hug him, saying that she missed him very much. Following Liu Feng and his team, all the other 120 people he had acquired at the slave market teleported to the shelter. The population of Shelter L exceeded 100 people. The level increased to the 3rd level of the shelter. The system notified Liu Feng that he could build a firearms production workshop. People were pleasantly surprised to see cool technology in the shelter. They were also informed that the shelter had a 24-hour hot water supply and plenty of beds. As long as everyone works hard, everyone will have good food.